kindergarten, it's Mrs. Nordberg. I'm back with another winter read aloud, and today's book is called Recess at 20 Below. Now, if you don't know, 20 below, that's a temperature, and that means it is super duper cold. We have not had a day where we live in Winchester that has been 20 below that I can remember. So that's very, very, very cold. These kids in this book live in Alaska, where it's a lot colder than where we live in New Hampshire, in Winchester. So we're gonna read about what it's like to go to school where it's very, very, very cold. So this is a nonfiction book about kids that live in Alaska. See if I can get to the front page. The cold takes my breath away and makes the inside of my nose stick together. So I tug my scarf all the way up to my eyes. The snow on the ground sparkles like diamonds, and the air is filled with tiny crystals, ice crystals twinkling out of the sky. Crunch, crunch, crunch. When I walk, it sounds like I'm wading through a bag of potato chips. No chance of sneaking up on anyone in this stuff. And I'm noticing these kids have backpacks. And look it's dark out. I live in Alaska, right along the Alaska Highway. Winter lasts a long, long time here. It seems like forever. But really, there's only snow on the ground from September until April. But sometimes we get a snowstorm in May or even in August. At our school, we go out for recess even when it's 20 degrees below zero. We have to wear a lot of clothes when it gets that freezy. At our school, we have a rule that we don't go outside if it's less than 20 degrees above zero. So they go out when it's a lot colder than we do. Getting dressed to go out takes a long time. First, we wiggle and squirm and twist into our thick snow pants. Then we pull on winter boots and zip our parkas as high as the zippers will go. We don't want any cold air getting in. Next comes the hats. Some hats cover our whole faces so you can only see our eyes and mouths peeking out. Since we need our fingers to put on all those clothes, our mittens or gloves go on last. Finally, we're ready to go outside and play. But I can hardly move in all my winter gear. I'm as big as a sumo wrestler. As I waddle down the hall, I usually see someone run back to go to the bathroom. Sure hope they make it. When we get outside, I look for my friends. All we can see is each other's eyes, so it helps to remember what color they are wearing. Samantha reminds me of a giant pickle in her green parka, and Megan, who is dressed in all purple, looks like a jar of grape jelly. It's fun to go sledding during recess. Every time it snows, our maintenance man clears the snow from the school parking lot and dumps it in the middle of the playground. Our sledding hill grows and grows all winter long. After a few months, it looks like Mount McKinley, the highest mountain in Alaska. We climb to the top and jump on our sleds. Whoopee! Sometimes we play on the swings, but by the middle of winter, the snow gets so deep, there's no room for our legs. We have to throw the swing over the top to make the chains shorter. And the teeter-totters usually freeze to the ground. Bang, bang, bang. We have to kick them over and over to break the ice off. Before anyone goes down the slide, it is covered with ice crystals that sparkle like glitter. It's kind of like sliding down a glacier. When it's this cold, we have to be careful to never touch our tongue on something metal. It will stick. Then a teacher will have to use a hairdryer or pour a glass of warm water over it to get your tongue free. How embarrassing. And snowball fights aren't as easy as you might think where the air is so dry. When it's really, really cold, our snow is like powder. You can't even make snowballs. But we like to throw it in the air anyway. We toss up puffy white snow clouds and swirling tornadoes. When the wind blows, the snow gets packed hard and we can break it into chunks like giant bricks. We stack the chunks to make forts that go high above our heads. Inside our forts, we keep nice and warm even though the wind is howling outside. Sometimes we make tunnels in the snow too. When we pop our heads out, we look just like bear cubs spying on the action. The only bad part is when the snow goes down our backs while we're tunneling. Brr, that's cold. Some days we play soccer or football during recess. Even at 20 below, you can get too hot. It's hard work running in heavy boots and thick snow pants. The more we move, the warmer we get. Playing hard means breathing hard. The moisture from our breath floats up to our faces and makes our eyelashes freeze. They feel so thick and heavy, it's hard to keep them open. The hair around our faces gets white with frost, so we look old and gray, kind of like Mrs. Nordberg. Some people say that frozen hair will break if you touch it, but mine never has. If it's colder than 20 below, we have to stay in for recess. It's too dangerous to be outside then. One day we had to stay inside, not because it was too cold. We had a visitor on our playground. A moose decided to munch some lunch at our school that day. She came and ate the willow bushes along our fence. Moose aren't the only wild animals that come to visit. Once I saw a fox sprint through the teeter-totters. Another day, ravens attacked our soccer field. Our teacher had drawn some boundary lines with bright red Kool-Aid on the snow. The raven swooped down out of the sky and gobbled it up. Our recess is always at noon because it's the sunniest time of day in my part of Alaska. It isn't very bright though, more like early evening. The sun rises and sets in just 3 hours. It barely peaks above our mountains. We come to school and go home in the pitch black. Wow. That would be different if we came to school when it was dark out and we went home when it was dark out. And if it gets cloudy and snowing during recess, the sky gets dark even at noon and it feels like we should get our flashlights out. But it sure makes for good games of hide and seek. By the time the whistle blows to go inside, our cheeks are bright red, our noses are runny, and our toes are numb. When we line up, we create a cloud of ice fog from everyone breathing in one place. Our breath freezes into tiny specks of ice that hang in the cold air. Clomp, clomp, clomp. We sound like a bunch of elephants walking the hallways in our big, clumsy boots. When we get to class, we peel off our winter gear. Lots of us get wild hair because the air is so dry and our hair is full of static. Sometimes we get big shocks too as we pull off our hats. Ouch! That can really zap. Our classroom sure is a mess with snow pants, parkas, mittens, hats, and boots piled all over the place. Everyone tries to hang up their stuff all at once, so it's easy to get your snow gear mixed up. It seems like we have spent 2 hours hunting just for the right hat or mitten to hang on our hooks. When we finally settle into our chairs to begin our afternoon lessons, I stare out the frosty window and hope it's not colder than 20 below tomorrow. I can't wait to get back outside and make sure our fort is still there. Or maybe I'll go sledding. It won't be long until the sun will feel a tiny bit warm during recess. Then we'll see our sledding mountain shrink and we'll hear the drip, drip, drip of melting icicles. We'll stow our sleds until next winter and get ready for the midnight sun to chase away the darkness. One day, not too far from now, we'll be riding our bikes past 10 p.m. because the sun will only go down for 3 hours. But until then, I love recess at 20 below. Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing to read about someplace that's so different from where we live that it gets that cold and it stays dark for that long. So it's interesting to read about someone who has a life that's a little bit different from yours. So I was thinking something that might be fun to do today would be to make a snowflake. So if you have a piece of paper, you're gonna wanna have your grown-up help you cut it into a square. So it's best to start with a square and then fold it. And a snowflake can really be any way you want it to be because I know that every snowflake looks different. So I'm gonna fold mine like this, right down the middle there. And then I'm gonna open it up. How am I gonna do this? I'm gonna fold it this way, maybe. Okay. I just folded it and then I folded it in. You fold it however you want because it does not matter. This is your snowflake and you do how you want. Okay. So then the next thing you do is you take your scissors and you just cut however you want. I'm gonna just cut some little shapes here. I'm gonna cut over here, make a little triangle. Maybe I'll try and make a little circle. Oops, I think I need to go, there I go. And maybe on the edge, I just wanna do this. So it's all about what you want your snowflake to look like. Okay, so now I've done a lot of cutting. If I wanted to, I could fold it over again and make a couple more cuts. Maybe I'll try that. I don't usually make snowflakes, so I'm not an expert, but you know what? You don't have to be. So now, unfold. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, that's what mine looks like. Yours might look different. If you think you want to do some more work on it, like maybe I want to cut that middle part. Maybe I really want to. All right, so let's open it back up and see if we like it better now. Oh, I like it better now. I like it better now with a hole in the middle. So you can do your snowflake however you want, but just be careful with your scissors so you don't cut your fingers. All right, kindergarten, see you later.